welcome to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for a new season of the Real Housewives of Potomac, and this is season 10. This is episode 1, and child, I didn't even get the name of the episode. I got so excited, I just went directly to recapping it. Let me go ahead and get that. One moment. Y'all already know how I do. But before we get into the name of the episode, it's called Second Bloom. That kind of makes sense considering what was happening in this episode. So yeah, that actually makes sense. Called Second Bloom. But yeah, before we get into the episode, let me go ahead and address the obvious. So yes, I'm not on camera right now. This week and next week, I will be reviewing 3 Real Housewives shows, which honestly, that is a lot for me. Which thank God I dropped Orange County, even though I am still watching it. But for those who don't know, let me just go ahead and give a full disclosure. So y'all already knew what happened last month and what's been going on because of my family situation. This month, I just have a lot of stuff going on between work and then also your girl's going to try to go outside, but safely try to go outside. And yeah, so this month is going to be kind of a busy month. So we're going to still continue with the recaps, but just to let you know, I may or may not be on camera. And also this week's just kind of a crazy week. And so I'm trying to just get this out. And for me, it's easier for me to basically edit this when it's in form of pretty much like a podcast versus it being a form of it being just like a YouTube video. Really one thing I do need to consider doing, but I'm not sure if I'm going to consider it yet, is I should try to maybe put this on like Spotify or something, but we'll see if I end up doing that or not. That's just a whole nother thing, neither here nor there. But yeah, let me go into one more thing too. So the other thing I'd like to address is, so for those who've been following my journey and been basically following my channel from when it started to where it is today, clearly I did change directions of what this channel is about. But personally, I would like to get back more into what the channel was about as far as working out, getting my fitness in order and all of that. And when I was my best self, I really wasn't watching much TV. So I am debating. I haven't made a final decision yet, but I am debating that I might end up taking a long break from this channel after I get finished reviewing all the shows I want to review. So I'm not sure after this if I'm going to pick up any more Housewife shows. So I think Orange County and Rhode Island, I'm not sure when that's happened. Not Orange County, child. Beverly Hills and Orange County. I'm not sure when those come back. Not Orange County. I keep wanting to say Orange County. Beverly Hills and Rhode Island. I'm not sure when those shows are coming back or, the schedule for that. But full disclosure, I most likely will not be reviewing those shows because I think Potomac's going to be my last show that I do. And then I think I'm going to be done with the channel once I get through that season. Just for a little bit. I'm thinking I'm going to give myself, I might take a year. I don't know. I just feel very overwhelmed with everything that's going on in life right now. And I told myself from the very beginning when I started this channel that this channel is meant to be fun and a hobby. And once it starts feeling like it's a job and an obligation, I'm going to reevaluate. So we're here now. I'm starting to feel that way. Full disclosure, I think you guys can even tell sometimes. Sometimes I'm doing great because I love the shows, but I feel like before when I didn't love watching while I was watching, it wasn't as obvious. Now I can't even hide it. So I think it's time for me to reevaluate that. And also, too, there's just a lot that I am trying to juggle right now. I thought once I got the house, it actually would make it where I would have less to juggle, but actually means it's kind of the opposite. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to give you all full disclosure on what's going on. I will be taking a break from this channel after I get through the season of Potomac. But the good news is, from what I saw this first episode, it looks like we are in for a treat. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. Okay, so we start off the season where we actually see footage of Karen getting out of jail. So it's September 2nd of this year and she's out. We know that she was sentenced to a year, but she got out early. And then we actually go back because unbeknownst to us, which we didn't know this right away with everything that was going on with Karen, whether they're going to resume their normal filming schedule. And yes, they did. They kept it going. So we actually go back to 6 months earlier and we start with Giselle, and it's 2 days after her sentencing. And Giselle honestly does seem genuinely concerned, because one thing about Giselle and Karen's relationship, they were really true frenemies, but I think overall they both really cared for each other. And so you hear Giselle just kind of narrating how she feels about everything and how concerned she is. And so she decides she's going to have a little bit of a ponderosa at her house. So Ashley's the first to join her at her place, and they kind of talk about things and, you know, basically just her total disbelief that Karen's actually in jail. And they joke about how they want her in, like, you know, a geriatric, like, part of the jail, because she's in general pop, like she's in the normal jail. And so they're hoping, just because she's older, she's in, like, you know, a place where she's isn't too bad off, you know. And I know the funny thing is, it came off more as like, I feel like in this case, from Ashley's standpoint, it kind of came off shady, but it really wasn't shady. I feel like they really meant that, just because, you know, Karen's of a particular age and she's going to jail for the first time ever, which is wild. But then after that, then one by one, the ladies are showing up. So then basically, well, before that, Ashley then switches the subject and talks about Stacy and how her and Stacy kind of had a play date with the kids. And, you know, where everyone's left off with Stacy is Stacy getting exposed for she got exposed for lying on the reunion, and she doubled down at it. She completely doubled down. And so Ashley is just determined, and you could tell that this is going to be a thing, to get the truth. And I understand why, because it's like, you know, how are you going to get, basically do all the things you did with Mia, because Mia was lying, but then don't do the same thing with, like, Stacy. And even though Stacy's lies are harmless lies, it's still lying. So you see where it's going. And also, too, at the end of the day, none of these girls know Stacy like that. And honestly, I'm looking at this like, do I even know Stacy? It's quite confusing. So then from there, Kay and Wendy, they show up together. And we didn't even know this, but apparently this is like Wendy's first time inside Giselle's house, because, you know, they were not cool for most of her time on the show. But they're greeting, you know, each other with open arms. And honestly, Giselle's place this time looks a lot nice. I don't know why. I don't mind her place as much as I used to. But maybe because with her being an empty nester, things are a little bit nicer. Who knows? But anyway, then Stacy does finally join the ladies. And the ladies just talk about the reality of Karen's situation and how they're so worried for her and all this. And, you know, basically just giving her, you know, love and prayer, and talking about how they feel bad for Raven, and how they feel bad for, like, Ray. And then Ashley, which, I'm sorry, this was funny to me. She mentions Karen stating the whole Thomas Jefferson's concubine thing. And child, I cackled, because me and my best friend who also watched the show, we literally say this to each other all the time now, because it's just funny to me. I'm sorry. I know she's probably not going to look back at it and think that's great, but it's just one of those random things that no one understood why she was saying that. So all of them just kind of cackled, because they're just like, yeah, Thomas Jefferson's concubine of all things. Anyway, so then that's kind of all that we get. We get a little bit, this is pretty much all that we get as far as talking about Karen. And then from there, the focus goes to Stacy and the TJ of it all. Then from there, when we go into Stacy and TJ, and basically none of the girls believe this girl. I mean, why would you? She is totally lying. She's still doubling, tripling down on her story, and this scene, it worked, but I want you to kind of pay attention a little bit more to Kay this episode, because personally I feel like Kay this episode is coming in too hot. She's doing too much. So she's kind of just all of a sudden starts kind of going hard on Stacy about her and her lying. And it's just like, Kay, why is this any of your business? Like, why are you going so hard where it's this much of your business? Everyone else is just kind of just sighing her and keeping it cute for the most part, other than Ashley. Ashley's also asking the questions too. And like, basically Stacy, her confessional shades her about her lying and like her doubling down. I mean, basically she shades Kay and being how she's doing too much in her confessional. And then Kay shades, basically return serves and shades, Stacy about lying still. And then Stacy leaves. She just abruptly leaves. She's like, I'm not doing this. I feel like I'm being attacked. And it's like, Stacy, girl, everyone tried to tell you during the reunion. Even Wendy tried to say that. She's like, we were trying to tell you during the reunion, if this is the time to come clean. If you're not going to come clean about this, we're going to look at you sideways. And this is where we're at right now, because there's proof that you're not really telling the truth. And so anyway, she does leave, and leave it to Giselle to wait until she leaves. And then she basically tells the group like, yeah, so Ashley and I, we went to this Essence thing, and we actually met an actress that knows TJ, and she showed us court documents, aka like, lawsuit papers that TJ is currently suing Stacy for the lack of payment based off their agreement. And so all the ladies are gagged, but like, are we that surprised? No. We kind of, for those who saw the reunion, you kind of saw where this was going. Anyway, so that's kind of it when it comes to Stacy of it all. And her and this walking away thing, it's not going to be the last time this episode. Stacy is cracking me up, but I don't even know what to think at this point. Because honestly, she is making the show about her, and I don't know what we will have this episode if we didn't have this. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Well, we don't have a full next scene yet. We have a little bit of our Housewives montage where we see Wendy with the interior decorator, basically getting, it looks like her living room decorated. And then we see Giselle with Cal, which is, I think, her stylist, and they're getting lunch. And then we see Ashley with two guys. They're helping her, and they're her friends, or helping her donate her tacky fashions. Because, child, I know that's not what was said, but it was funny because both of these friends were like, yeah, all this needs to go. It's all ugly. I was just like, see, I just called it tacky. I didn't say it was ugly, but I was trying to be nice, but your own friend said your style ain't styling. So, and she of course was trying to get, she was like, yeah, okay, it's time for me to get rid of it. But anyway, that's kind of all that happens when it comes to Real Housewives montage. And then we have our first scene, solo scene with Stacy. And child, why is she meeting her ex-husband, Timo, for dinner? And I must say this, he is an attractive gentleman. So I was like, okay. And then she confesses in her confessional that they are back together. As in, like, they're dating. Now, I don't know how I feel about any of this, just because now that we know that Stacy lies, do we believe that Stacy and her ex-husband are back together? Or do we believe that Stacy and her ex-husband were never not together, and the only reason why he wasn't on the show last season is because he didn't really want to film, and he basically, I guess, now after seeing how everything played out, he now decides he's going to support his wife in film. Which one y'all think it is? Or do you think it's another option? But honestly, I don't really believe what she's telling me anymore, because she lies. She's a liar. And I hate to say this. And it sucks because she's an Aries. And I'm like, girl, you're making me look bad. You're making me look bad. I need good Aries representation on TV. We don't lie like that. You lie. But child, we don't lie like that. But she does make some sense. And she does have this story where she basically says that their marriage was dissolving, or basically they were having issues, which I do believe they were having some type of issue, clearly, because he wasn't filming with her. But did the issue lead to divorce? That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, they mentioned that they were prioritizing Bella over everything, including their own marriage. And so the romance kind of died. And I could totally see that. But it does look like this. I felt chemistry with them watching them, but I still don't know if I feel chemistry of... I don't know if I feel the chemistry for real. Just because it's Stacey, and now I don't know what to believe when it comes to her. But the date was a nice date, and it looks like, it was definitely an upgrade, because at least this man's spending money on you. But I would think that you're someone that you were together with for a long time would spend money on you. But anyway, so that's kind of all that we get here. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that what do you think is the story behind this, actually? I feel like we're definitely going to get more of a story about this throughout the season, but I just have so many questions. So before we go into the next thing, the other thing I kind of wanted to share when it came to this episode that I've noticed, when Stacey has gotten mad, her whole nice kind of talking, kind of like valley girlish type of thing that she does, it goes away so quickly. I'm noticing it happens a lot. Like it happened when she was going back and forth with Kay. And then it happened multiple times when she's going back and forth with Ashley this episode. So yeah, I have so many questions when it comes to Stacey. But child, she is making this episode. She made this episode very entertaining, so I'm not gonna hold you. I was glued in. But anyway, so then the next thing we have Kay, and we see that she actually ended up getting a whole entire new condo, so she's not with Greg, and her mom comes and visits. But then we find out, child, she still is kind of with Greg. So she states that after Greg pretty much made a whole entire ass of her on this show last season, and how bad things were, that they broke up. And friend, I think with Love Kay, I think that he already was doing that, and you needed him to be on the show for you to see that he was always doing that to you. But Kay, anyway, let me explain what else happened. So then they break up, only for them to turn around and start dating again, because he dangles a trip to Jamaica, in her face, and now they're back to dating. And it's like, girl, it took just a trip to Jamaica for you to change your mind. And honestly, it wouldn't even matter what kind of trip. It took a trip, and that was it. And now y'all back to dating after he basically humiliated you on national TV. Girl. And her mom, of course, is sighing her. Is just kind of like, what are you doing? I raised you to be a confident woman, a confident, independent woman, and you are not giving that. Kay does state that she's in therapy, and clearly she's in the early stages of therapy. And hopefully we do get some scenes with her in therapy. But it explains what happened in the first scene, and it also explains what I'm going to kind of point out what happened in the last, at the party. That Kay is extremely insecure. And honestly, for how beautiful and stunning she is as a woman, and she is, and I think she's around the same age as Ashley, but I feel like Ashley with her confidence kind of presents more older than Kay does. Kay presents herself very much younger because her self-confidence to me is the self-confidence of someone who's in their 20s. I mean like early 20s. Like it's not giving 30s to 40s. And I could say that because, I mean, it used to be me. I used to be very insecure, and I feel like most women and most people in general are insecure in their younger years. But you do the work or you don't. I mean, I guess if you don't do the work, this is what it looks like. You know, you kind of just look a little bit stunted. And again, I'm not trying to sound shady or anything like that, but it's just obvious this episode, it came across that way for me that, oh man, she's pretty insecure. And the fact that no one in her family likes Greg. And the thing is, I wish we would have saw some of these things because I don't remember seeing her sing with her brother and sister-in-law. I don't remember seeing that. And because it came across like we saw this last season, and I don't remember seeing that. But I feel like we should have seen more episodes of her with her family kind of saying the real of what this is. Like, because to me, it seems like her family never really was okay with Greg, and she was just delusional. And she was so obsessed with getting married. But the fact that she's claiming she's not obsessed with that anymore, but she's still letting this man have access to her, that's wild to me. And, you know, maybe that's just something you learn later in life. I mean, for me, I would say mid to late 30s is when my cutoff game has gotten real strong. I am like a veteran now when it comes to this cutoff game. You play crazy with me, I cut you off. I just act like you don't exist. And I mean, you will lose complete access to me. Like, it's not even funny. It's wild. And even if I see you, I will act like I don't see you. You are a ghost to me. Like, that is how crazy I get when it comes to like how I operate when it comes to like no longer access type situation. But I hope she could find that within herself, and she really needs to let that man go, because honestly, when we saw him, I forgot how he looked, but I was like, girl, you look the way you look and he looks the way he looks. I know. Because I'm not someone who actually dates based off of looks, but still, his attitude made him just look less attractive than he already, maybe aesthetically would have looked to me. But anyway, hopefully she figures this out, and maybe we'll see her growth this season. Moving on. Side note, what in the Coming Into America is her confessional look? When I saw her in this confessional look, I was just like, hop on one foot. Woof, 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 woof. I mean, I like it. She's looking good. I mean, the skin's always looking good, but it just cracks me up. Her confessional look, I don't want to like it, but I like it all because it's Coming to America. It reminds me so much of Coming to America. But anyway, I just had to call it out. Anyway, moving on. We see Wendy and Happy Eddie, and I'm not gonna hold you. This scene was kind of, I don't know, they could have kind of left this in the cutting board because it really didn't give us much. But basically, what we find out though is that Happy Eddie, his business is doing very, very well, and he's expanding now to a third state. So he's going on a business trip to New Jersey to kind of get that going. And Wendy, at this point, seems like she's not really doing as much stuff in general because their business is doing so well. She's just basically kind of, to me, it's giving now she's becoming more of a housewife and isn't doing as much stuff because his business is very profitable. And she seems very proud of him, very inspired by him. And then she even shades Stacy for basically copying her and doing this business. But it doesn't seem like she takes any of it to heart. But that's pretty much all that happens in this scene. Okay, so then next we have a scene where Ashley is kind of getting ready to she's getting prepared for this divorce party she's about to have, the second balloon party she's about to have. And that's pretty much all it is. It's a divorce party, basically. She does explain in the party a little bit more what it's about, but we'll get into that when we get into that. But so she meets at this boutique store. And I forgot the lady's name that was there, but apparently they know her, and she shops at this shop a lot. And then she decides, and she mentions that Stacy's going to be joining her because she didn't like how things ended with her and Stacy, but she still wants to get some clarity on the truth. And do you think she gets clarity on the truth? No. Stacy proceeds to try to gaslight her along with us as the audience. And I'm like, wow, Stacy, wow. And this season already we're seeing that Stacy is still the confessional assassin, but man, she's becoming more of a sniper when it comes to her confessionals, because she was cracking me up when it came to her shade towards Ashley as they're going back and forth, because of course it doesn't stay calm. They end up going back and forth because Ashley immediately asks about TJ suing her. She mentions who she knows and like how she has receipts that this is indeed happening. And Stacy Smollett, because child, she might as well call her Stacy Smollett. She is staying on that lie. She will not let it go. And she's like, the imaginary people you meet, that's not my problem. And then from there, Ashley's just getting so fed up. She's like, are you even divorced? And child, not the shady producer showing that there is no proof that Stacy ever got divorced. And then Stacy did her walkout yet again. And as she's doing her walkout, she's like, oh my God, I'm glad you're walking out because you and that hot breath can go. I'm just like, wait, what? And by the way, this is not the last time that her breath is part of the conversation, because apparently, child, her breath is hot. That's crazy. It's like, so she gets to running though. But anyway, she gets to running, and that's kind of all that happens there. And then the boutique lady like proceeds to go and get them both a glass of wine. And, you know, Ashley's like, you a little late for that. Like, because Stacy already left. But anyway, moving on. We have Giselle, and she is basically at her home, and she's boasting about how she is just loving being an empty nester, and she just now enjoys having her time to herself. And I can imagine she definitely does, because, you know, we already seen that her kids were like, she had 2 twin girls, and then another daughter who was age, you know, one or 2 years older. So, like, basically when they left, they just left, like, it was a back to back to back, and then it was like all to none, basically. And so she's like, yeah, she's enjoying it, she's dating, and then she basically then FaceTimes Ashley, and then Ashley spills the tea about Stacy and everything that happened there. But she does state that, yeah, Stacy's still coming to the party, but yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to go. And that's kind of all that happens here. So next we have, also before we get into the next scene, is it just me, or do we think that this season Giselle's basically playing the Karen role? I think this season Giselle's not really going to be in that much mess. Yeah, she is kind of saying her piece when it comes to you know, Stacy, but she's not going as hard as she probably could about it. So anyway, it's definitely giving, she's definitely playing more of the Karen role this season. And she's supposed to, you know, basically bring the girls together. But anyway, so next here we then meet one of the newest housewives for this season, Angel. And we find out that she is like basically childhood friends with Kay. And so Kay comes and pays her a visit. And we also find out she just moved back to Potomac, the DMV area, because her husband, Bob, or Robert, I think his name's Rob, he retired. He's basically a former football player who retired from Denver Broncos. So they lived in Colorado for some time. And they have lots of businesses. We see all her accomplishments with her media when it comes to like her BET and stuff. She's an entrepreneur. She's a boss. She's a big deal. Apparently health and wellness is definitely a thing that is her thing. And also, what else I want to say here that we see here? And she's also basically into basically the zen of it all. And we also find out that she also went to the same college as Wendy, but they didn't go there the same year, so they don't really know each other like that. Like, they're familiar, but they don't really know each other. And yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit later about Wendy and the way she be saying things. Cause child, Kay, although Kay is insecure, she's not really wrong. But anyway, so then basically we find out from Kay that the side remarks that Wendy has been doing throughout her time on the show is kind of annoying her. And apparently it's not just on the show, it's off the show. She just kind of has a little bit of a stank attitude about her. And I mean, are we surprised that, Wendy can come off as somewhat elitist? Are we really surprised by that? I'm not, but it doesn't bother me because whatever, it doesn't matter. I guess when people do that, it doesn't bother me because I know, like, I feel like it would bother someone who's a little bit more insecure. I'm not insecure, so I don't care. But maybe that's just me. Anyway, but basically she's like, yeah, I'm going to definitely have a talk to her about it. And, so that's when we find out that Kay is kind of feeling away when it comes to Wendy. And yeah, anyway, moving on. Side note, I feel like I will like Angel because so far in this episode, she made a pretty good impression on me, but we'll see. But yeah, she made a pretty good impression on me. She doesn't give try hard. She belongs to this group. But we'll see. We'll see so far. But anyway, the next scene here is the day of the party. And the ladies are, getting ready to show up and show out at this party. And for the most part, the ladies were looking okay. But I will say this, Ashley, I'm going to give you your 10s. This was a well done party. This gave Potomac and not Potomac. It was the money was moneying. Oh, also the other thing that we found out this episode is that Ashley did not come she came out of that divorce pretty happy. She got her a nice settlement. Now, do we think she should have got more? Yes. But she didn't. She definitely got some coins out of it. So she says she's doing all right and she's happy with the results. And so, hey, if you like it, I love it. Anyway, so all the ladies are showing up at this party, but everyone's confused about the name of the party because it's called the second bloom, and everyone was like, well, what happened with the first bloom? Ashley clears it up when she does her speech, so it's not a big deal. But it was funny in the confessional how a handful of the ladies were kind of confused by the name of the party. Anyway, so Giselle does show up not alone. She actually shows up with the other new housewife that we're going to be having on this show, Tia. And we didn't get too much information from Tia other than the fact that she already comes from a world of wealth and she is British. But she's British Nigerian and she comes from a royal family in Nigeria. So I am curious about how this is going to go. Because last time we had let's hope we don't have no diaspora wars this time. I really hope it goes smoothly this time around. But anyway, Tia was giving classy. She was actually giving the first season of Potomac the way she was carrying herself. So I think I feel like if Karen was on this season so far, I feel like Karen would like her. But yeah, so Giselle likes her, loves her, and all that good stuff. And so that's who we end up kind of getting to know next. And then we see Shorey's. I'm sorry. Every time I see her, that's kind of what I want to say. But we see her. She's there. And so basically all the ladies are there, and Angel. Oh, we also find out in the scene from before, Angel does know of Ashley because apparently Ashley worked as a bottle girl at one of her restaurants. And so Angel shades Ashley, with when Ashley makes her grand entrance, like, oh, from a bottle girl to a queen. Oh man, the come up is real. And the way she said it, it definitely was given shady, but I'm not mad at it. I was like, sorry, it's funny. Hopefully it doesn't amount to anything too serious, but it just kind of cracked me up. Anyway, let's see what else happened here. Sorry, and I gotta get back to my notes. I got distracted. Oh, but yeah, I was gonna say the party's well done, but let's get into the mess because, of course, the mess did definitely pop off at this party. Okay, so basically, Stacy's the last to show up, and right away, Stacy's saying hi to everyone, and Kay is just out of nowhere, like, "Hi, Stacy." And I was like, "What? It was that?" And she was doing this right when Stacy was just trying to introduce herself to, I think it was either, I don't remember if it was Tia or if it was like Angel, but she was trying to introduce herself to one of the newer ladies because she hasn't met them yet. We also, side note, we also find out that Giselle did meet Angel in a scene that was cut. So she already is familiar with Angel through Kay because Kay introduced her before. So anyway, but yeah, it was just kind of weird that she did all that. It didn't amount to anything because Stacey kind of paid her dust. But then from there, then we see that Wendy goes to sit down, and Giselle asks her, "Were you inspired by the dress that I got, that you mentioned I should get for you?" And Wendy is being weird about it. She's like, no, I just decided to get it myself. And I ain't gonna hold you. Both me and Giselle had the same look, like, girl, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's clearly a similar dress. You were inspired. And so she's being weird about it, but whatever. And then as they're talking about the dress, Kay out of nowhere pops up. She's like, "You're being rude. You're being rude, Wendy. You're being rude." And Wendy's taking it back, and Giselle doesn't really say anything, but she's taking it back. I feel like they're both taking it back because it's like, girl, what are you talking about? Because she's coming in hot yet again. And this is why I wrote, like, I didn't come up with my conclusion with Kay. I mean, it was kind of obvious before, but I feel like even I said this last season, Kay, girl, you need to work on your self-esteem because you are giving very insecure. And it's kind of like you're searching for a moment, which is quite annoying. So then they do end up having this conversation. And this is after, by the way, Kay inserted herself in the conversation that it was between Giselle and Wendy. And so Giselle ends up leaving, and Wendy's like, "What's going on with you? What's up?" And Kay mentions all these instances where Wendy has been standoffish and has been given kind of nice, nasty attitude. And the examples that she provided, I'm going to say yes and no. Because from one perspective, Kay, with love, you are coming off a little needy. But at the same time, Wendy, you do this. It's a thing of yours. You've been accused of this since day one on this show. And even when the producers asked, did you know Angel, when you and Angel finally introduced each other, you gave shady remarks where to me it didn't seem necessary. Like, why are you saying shady remarks towards someone you don't even know like that? It's giving weirdo energy. So I can see both sides of it where, yeah, Wendy does give off nice nasty, but at the same time, Kay, this also could be looked at as a little bit of a reach and that you're kind of needy. Because the examples, I mean, you really could just name the example that we saw last season with the way Wendy was when it came to the room situation, because that was shady and I was confused by that. I remember seeing that. I was like, what was that? That's kind of weird. Like, that's supposed to be your good Judy, but it's giving like that Giselle and her closer than you two are, which is really weird. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But anyway, so of course, Wendy's giving her nothing, which honestly, you're not helping the situation, Wendy, because you are kind of coming off as nice nasty, because you're not even giving her this space to feel the way she needs to feel. You're basically dismissing her. So I can see why Kay would still feel this way, because you are coming off very dismissive. And if that's your really, really good friend, why would you be that dismissive towards your friend? But at the same time, I do feel that Kay is kind of it. I don't know. She is coming off insecure, so it's a little bit 1A, 1B. But anyway, so as this is going on, though, by the way, we see on the other side, Stacey and Ashley start talking back and forth, and they get into it very, very quickly, and it escalates extremely quickly. And at first, Stacey was like, I just want to talk to you because I feel like when you two are together, it's like, I guess like peanut butter jelly or something like that. She basically said that Giselle and Ashley can't, work they can't work solo. Even though it's been proven already that Ashley can definitely work solo. She doesn't need Giselle. But anyway, so as she's saying this and they walk away, they make a comment about her hot breath again. And then also Angel in her confessional, she's like, yeah, her breath is a little hot. So it's like, okay. With Love, I don't know how she has breath that's this bad. But like Giselle was commenting in her confessional, she's like, yeah, it's like it's coming from within, like way within. And I'm like, does she have like gastric issues or something like that? It causes her breath to smell? I don't know. I have a lot of questions, but child, that is crazy and wild to me that this is the second time that her hot box of a breath is being mentioned. Anyway, so then immediately though, like I said, once they do go their separate ways, Ashley and Stacey get into it immediately. It is escalating. Ashley is putting her fingers in Stacey's face, and Stacey's trying to tell her, get your fingers on my face. And Ashley, girl, you need to stop doing that. It's really annoying, and one of these days you're gonna meet the right one where they're not gonna like that. I know you're trying to be extra, but it's not. You need to stop it. Anyway, so it basically escalates, but then I don't remember if it didn't really get resolved. Because then like Stacey's friend AJ is there. He's like, what do you want out of this? And basically the conclusion is they want proof at this point now that Stacey actually is divorced. And Stacey's like, I don't need to prove all these things to you. But with Love, Stacey, I'm genuinely confused now because I don't know if we know who you are. As a viewer, I don't know who Stacey is anymore. Am I entertained by this? Yes. But do I know who you are now? No. So I could kind of see why them trying to develop a friendship with you would be frustrated because they don't even know who you are. But anyway, that is kind of how the episode ends. It was a good episode to me. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I think we're going to have a very, very good season. Tia, I don't really have an opinion when it comes to her being a housewife so far because she kind of took a back seat a little bit. But we'll see how things develop because, we change our minds a lot when we see the new girls. But so far, this was overall a very, very great season premiere. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.